welcome. Thank you for joining us today. All right, we will start right away because we already have some of you in. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar on scholarships, fees, and finance. My name is Gabriella, and I'm the Americas and Caribbean Regional Officer at Middlesex University. I was also a student at Middlesex not too long ago, so I can relate to many of your questions about scholarships, fees, finance, of course. And I'm also here joined today by Otavio Delavi from Brazil, who is a current student at Middlesex. Hi, Otavio.
Hello everyone, I'm Otávio. I'm a master's student at Middlesex, and I'm really glad I can share my experience with you all.
Thank you. It's so nice to have you here today. Okay, so this webinar will last about 60 minutes. We will have a quick presentation followed by a Q&A session at the end. So if you'd like to ask any questions, please just type them in the chat room box, which should be on the right-hand side of your screen. And this webinar will be recorded, or it is being recorded. So we'll share that recording with you at the end, like in a day or two. All right, so let's get started. So today we'll be talking about these three things, as you know: scholarships, how to pay the deposit and tuition fees, and budgeting your money whilst you're a student at Middlesex. This information is going to be useful whether you're a first-year undergraduate student or a mature master's student. So we hope this is useful for you. All right, so let's get started with scholarships. So when it comes to scholarships, there are a few things to keep in mind. We do give scholarships. That's the number one question. Do you guys give out scholarships? We do. And oftentimes it will be as a reduction to your tuition fees. Most of them are merit-based, but some could be earned on personal circumstances. You can apply for more than one scholarship, but you can only be awarded one of these scholarships or regional awards. So you will keep the one with the highest value on your record. So if you apply for 2 or 3 and you earned one, let's say it's £5,000 and the rest were £3,000, then you're going to keep the one with £5,000. But you can only earn one of those. And you might want to take a screenshot of these links so you can know where to access these scholarships. I know these links are quite large, but please do take note of this. You'll also get this in the recording. Also, every regional office normally has a budget for regional awards, but please remember that these are very competitive and you should aim to apply as soon as possible after receiving an offer from the program. So another common question that we get is, a student that we've never heard of before just pops in our email and says, hey, do you have scholarships? Yes, we do, but they can't apply. You cannot apply for a scholarship unless you already have an offer from the university. So you first need to apply to the program, get an offer from the program, and then access our scholarships. All right, so for those of you who are international students, you have the option to look into the Achievement scholarships. This is honestly one of the best scholarships for master's degrees, and it includes everything from visa fees, airfare, a monthly stipend, accommodation, and of course the tuition fees. Now you must note that this process begins a year before the start of your program. So this means that if you apply for scholarship, for Achievement Scholarship in 2021, you'll be coming to the UK, to the university in 2022. So you have to do this a year ahead of time. Applications usually open in August and close early in November. So, if you're interested, please go ahead, follow their social media or look into their website regularly for more updated information. If you are from a country in the Commonwealth and can demonstrate that you're from a disadvantaged background, that you can also access scholarships here at the Commonwealth scholarships. It's, again, for postgraduate studies only. So this time it's for master's and PhDs. And their their criteria is only for degrees in certain development subject areas, such as science and tech for development, global peace, security, governance, and those types of subject areas. So please keep that in mind if you are studying one of these subject areas with us. All right, and if you're from the EU or the EEA area, then as a result of Brexit, you will now be charged international tuition fees and can't access British student loans. But fortunately, we offer these Middlesex scholarships, which allow you to pay a tuition fee that is very close to home fees and very far from the regular international tuition fees. So as shown on screen, undergraduate students are charged £9,500 for each year that they study with us. And postgraduate degree students, master students, are just charged £250 more than the UK fees displayed on the website. So you can go on the website, see what your program's tuition fee is. And if you're from the EU or the EEA area, then you'll be charged just £250 above that home fee or the UK tuition fee. Now, please note that this is an automatic scholarship. You don't need to apply for it. It's only for students who have an EU or an EEA passport and are permanent residents in the EU, EEA area. So if you have not been living in the EU, although you have an EU passport, then this does not apply to you. So for example, if Otavio from Brazil has a Portuguese passport, which is very common, but he has not been living in Portugal, he has been living in Brazil, then this scholarship does not apply to him. Which scholarship does apply to him? The regional awards do apply to him. So he still has some opportunities for scholarships. It's not that he doesn't, but please note that these particular scholarships on screen are only for residents and citizens in the EU EEA area. Now, if you meet this criteria and you are in the UK already on a settled or pre-settled status, you can disregard these scholarships as you will obtain UK fees completely. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk a little bit more now about the university fees and other costs associated to fees. So things that you must consider when budgeting: obviously the tuition fees of your degree, whether it's undergraduate or postgraduate. You will have this in your offer letter, and you can check the website, but always go by your offer letter. Any field or residential trips, if they're not already included. For example, I did a master's degree at Middlesex. As I mentioned earlier, I was a student at Middlesex, and I was very pleasantly surprised that my program had a residential trip that was, I want to say, 90% covered by the university. Accommodation was covered, some meals were covered as well, transportation was covered already. I just had to pay for a few meals, and that's about it. So do check if your website is, do check on the website if your program includes the residential field trips, which it normally will, but if not, just mind that you might have to budget a little bit more for that. So another thing to account for are the accommodation. So we have halls of residence at Middlesex, 5 different halls of residence, and they start at £157 per week. But we also, you're able to live at private rented accommodation that's available. So if you have questions on accommodation particularly, I'll ask you to go to mdx.ac.uk/accommodation. That's mdx.ac.uk/accommodation. And you'll be able to see the different kinds of halls of residence that we have, what it includes, etc. Another thing to budget for: living expenses. So you want to think of, obviously, food, transportation, entertainment, but some things that students miss to budget for example, your laundry. You will have to fill out that laundry card, your mobile bill, which is, by the way, a lot more affordable in the UK than it is in the US, but things like your gym membership and things like that, your weekend trips, travel, all of that type of living expenses. If you're applying for a pre-sessional English course, then you will also need to budget for that. If you are on a student route visa, then you are expected to have the first year's tuition fee plus £12,006 in a bank account that is yours or your parents. And you can check more on this on mdx.ac.uk/visas, but I don't want to overwhelm you with that just yet. Now, note that a number of countries are exempt from having to show these funds upon visa application, but we will always advise students to have evidence in case they are requested this. So in the case you have applied for a loan, then you don't need to show bank statements. Again, if you have questions on this, I hope I haven't misled you or anything, but if you have questions, just go on mdx.ac.uk/visas. It will be a lot more self-explanatory there. But I just wanted to give you some like costs to consider, some things to note. All right, so some things that we do include as part of your tuition fees are all of the well-being and academic support that you can think of, welfare support as well, financial support in the case of, sometimes it's students first year and they don't know how to budget. We will help you, make a simple budget to follow. Obviously, if there is any condition that you have, you will have that support at Middlesex University. So we do care a lot about the academic personal support as well. Also, employability advice. I think we'll talk about this a little bit more in the presentation, but we do have an employability center, which I like to say that it's their job to help students find jobs. We also offer free ebooks and e-journals for all of our students, all of the degrees. It doesn't matter, you will get a free ebook for each of the classes that you take or each of the modules that you take. We also have free online training, free laptop loans in case you don't have a laptop or you don't want to bring it to campus. Also free printing, and this is great, free printing, especially when you have to do your dissertation, you will see how important that is. And if you stay at a hall of residence at Middlesex University, all bills are included, like electricity, Wi-Fi, heating, water, and even a weekly cleaner for the common areas are included. All right, so how do you pay your deposit? Paying a deposit is the final part to secure your place at Middlesex University, and after which you can sit back, relax, and wait for your CAS if you need a visa. Now, CAS statements will not be sent out to students who have not paid a deposit or provided evidence of having granted a loan. So that's why it's very, very important that you pay your deposit as soon as possible. Once you pay your deposit, as I mentioned, you can just sit back and relax. So your deposit will be stated on your offer letter, and it can go from £1,000 up to 50% of your first or only year's tuition fee. That will be stated on your offer letter. So go back to your offer letter, see how much it is that you need to pay as a deposit, and make sure that you complete that as soon as you're able to. Normally, students are able to pay their deposit only after having accepted an unconditional offer, but this may vary by region. If you wish to defer your place, then you will be asked to complete the application process and pay the deposit before your application is deferred to the next year. So again, you want to finish that process, pay the deposit, and this could be applied, that deposit could be applied either for studying this year or next year. I do want to remind you that deposits are non-refundable except if you're denied a student visa. So if you pay deposit, it is expected that you will be coming to Middlesex University. You're basically guaranteeing your place, locking down your place at Middlesex, and it's telling Middlesex, yes, make room for me, I'm coming. And that's really all we need to start, issuing CASs, knowing when, how many students are coming, how many chairs we'll need or desks, how many coaches we'll have at the airport waiting for you and such. Whoops. All right, so let's talk now about, let me just see you. Yep. Okay, so I was here, got it. So half of your, so how to pay your tuition fees. Half of your yearly tuition fee should be paid upon enrollment. And the deadline is normally at the end of the month of enrollment. So normally at the end of September or end of January, depending on your start date. You can pay tuition fees by A, bank transfer, B, telephone, or C, online payments with most major debit or credit cards. As stated on screen, no American Express and no Diners Club cards. But we will cover the bank account info in just a bit, but do not stress about not having a bank account just yet, because this is part of what happens during the welcome week, and you'll receive more information about opening bank accounts in the UK closer to enrollment. But how to pay your deposit or how to pay your tuition fee in the same way, either by telephone, by bank transfer, or the preferred method for you and for us is online. And the reason is because you get a receipt right away. So do try and do it online if you're able to. All right, so now Student budget in London. Let's see, what tips and tricks can we give you? So these are some of the estimated costs of living, accommodation. Once again, you can go to our website, mdx.ac.uk/accommodation. The reason why I always refer to our halls of residence is because I was a student at Middlesex. I stayed at a hall of residence. I'm so happy that I did. After I had to move out, I was like, oh man, how am I going to find a bedroom with a bathroom at that price with everything included? So, as a former student, I do advise staying at our halls of residence. It might not be for you, and that's fine. You don't have to stay at our halls of residence if you don't want to, but it's just a lot more stress-free, especially if it's your first time living abroad, and away from home. So accommodation, bills, insurance can take about 550 to 800 pounds per month. Food and household items, by the way, all of these things you can live more affordably or more extravagantly depending on your lifestyle. And this is true for every city and every person. So these are just some estimated costs, so you can have that into consideration. So leisure, sports, entertainment by 95 pounds a month. Local transportation, that will depend how often you go to campus and how often you leave your house, basically, or your accommodation, and how close you are from campus. In my case, I was living very close to campus, so I rarely had to budget for transportation. And I was also working on campus, so again, very rarely had to budget for transportation. But of course, you want to be in the center of London and the weekends and spend some time there. So also do mind some one-off costs, things like visas, for example. People don't always, well, if you need a visa, obviously, visas, travels, do take advantage of traveling in the UK once borders are open, or traveling in Europe. And things that you might need if you come, for example, from a Caribbean country. You might need a heavy coat in the winter, and this is a one-off cost that you will have to budget for. So do keep those things in mind, and I hope that these are just some tips here and there that you can take into consideration when budgeting. All right, so as mentioned before, I stayed, for example, at Platt Hall. These are the current rent for 2020. As I mentioned, it includes gas, electricity, water, internet, and contents insurance. Also 24/7 security and a weekly cleaner for the common areas like the kitchen, halls, etc. And do be mindful that 40 and 50-week contracts are only available at Ivy Hall. So for a 2021 cycle, you might expect a little increase. I don't think it might be too dramatic, but these are good starting points. And do check the website closer to the date. I believe that it can be in May when you can start booking accommodation at our halls of residence. Okay, so now, how do you open a bank account in the UK? That's a great question that many students ask. So basically, opening a bank account in the UK can take a few weeks. So please allow for enough time and just adjust your expectations. I know that some places, some countries, for example, you can just walk in and out of a place in an hour and suddenly have a bank account. That's not what happens in the UK. So do adjust your expectations accordingly. You can also try and apply online and speed up the process. But I believe it is very wise to bring a traveler's check or small amounts of cash with you in case there are delays. But many places accept cards. The Tube accepts cards as form of payments. So you will do just fine with an international credit card or debit card. And you can see the main banks on screen, but an alternative for an online bank is Monzo, so go check that out when you can. All right, so normally banks will require these things: ID or passport with a visa if you're an international student, so that's why you need to have arrived in the UK normally. Then also proof of address in the UK, so that's why you would normally need to arrive in the UK prior to opening a bank account. And finally, proof of studies, like your Middlesex offer letter or your student ID. And I now want to introduce Otavio, who has a bit to say. Otavio, why don't you join the conversation?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon here from London, and good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the globe. Well, my name is Otávio de la Via. I'm from Brazil. I'm a master's student at Middlesex. I'm doing my LLM in International Business Law. I started last year in September, and I'm expected to finish my course next October. And I'm here today to share with you a little bit of my experience as a student at Middlesex, especially through this very unusual year. Next one, please, Gabriela. Well, consider that we are in the middle of a pandemic, so the whole learning experience has been really different, and it was a challenging year for me, and I found in the universe all the support that I need. So first thing I would like to highlight is the unique student support Middlesex has. um, it's online learning tools, its online databases, and the interactivity the university provided to its students was unique, and it helped a lot to make this year really special. Even though I spent almost of it uh, at home studying in my computer, not going to the campus and interacting with people, the experience has been fantastic. Next one, please. Well, uh, my favorite place, my favorite spot at Middlesex as a law student has to be the library. And the library
baby.
is just like fantastic. For me, it's a very modern building. It's the most beautiful one, and their staff are great. Uh, they offer several services that are really useful for students who are coming from abroad, and sometimes like don't bring a laptop or don't have the money yet to buy one, so they have laptop loans. If you're studying at home, they have online databases that you can use uh, as much as you use as you are at the library building. The digital resources, they are fantastic, really. The experience I had at home was very similar to the experience I would have at the campus. And the library itself has a welcoming environment. So now during spring, I hope next year you'll all be able to spend time there, see all the trees, the flowers, and the beautiful building, which has like very clear windows, so you can stare at the campus and just be amazed by the view. Next one, please. Well, also there are job opportunities at Middlesex for you students. I, as a master's student, uh, look for find a job too at the Unitemp platform, which is a platform integrated with several other universities. So I looked for Middlesex, and I found a list of jobs that the sorry, the university would be hiring for. And I've been hired to two specific uh, uh, tasks, like international student ambassador, uh, which is basically what I'm doing here. I share with prospective students my experience, especially international students who come from a similar background, and we try to make them uh, feel at home at Middlesex. And it's the experience, the feedback has been great, and I myself have loved it. Also, I'm a student representative for validation and review. So uh, every time there is a new program for a course, a group of professionals from Middlesex, lecturers, workers, and students, they review and they validate that program to have a different perspective from different kind of students and people at the university. So I really encourage you to look at the Unitemps platform and try to, if you're interested, try to find a opportunity there. It's really good to know people, and it also brings some money. That's really important. Next one, please. Well, also, we are in the pandemic, but it doesn't mean we cannot uh, meet virtually with our colleagues from the university. So I encourage you to have a look at the Middlesex Students Union. They have several events all over the year. Some of them are really, really interesting. So it's a good chance to meet people virtually and get to know people from different countries, different courses, share experiences, have a good time. It's amazing. They are the Middlesex Students Union. They have done a fantastic work over the last year, so students don't feel lonely and like doing their own thing. No, you feel they make you feel part of huge group, which is just fantastic. Next one, please. Here you can see like I just it's an image from their website. You can see they have weekly casual game night. So it's really interesting. It's trivia night. It's like you can play games with people from other courses. It's really interesting. It's proper fun. So I encourage you to have a look at that. Well, next one, please. Yeah. Um, Personally, I've been awarded with one of the scholarships Gabriela mentioned before. It's the Middlesex Regional Award Scholarship. And I really suggest you to have a look at the scholarships page and apply for it because it was a £4,000 award I've got, and that really enabled me to carry on with my studies and make this dream of moving to London and studying here happen. That was really important. And don't think like you don't have a chance. No, go for it. Uh, your chance might be out there. So you have to try. I really encourage you to do that. And well, I had a fantastic assistance from Gabriela herself and the whole office because I was a late applicant. So I applied like in August, mid-August, to the course through Middlesex, and I would start like late September, so 1 month basically. And I've got all the support I needed. Uh, I couldn't ask for more. So don't feel shy. Always ask for help if you think you need. That's really important. My personal experience with Middlesex has been great. So uh, whatever I can help you with, just drop me a line. I think the next slide has my email. Uh, Next one, please, Gabriel. Well, I don't think so. I will
It
drop
doesn't.
my email at the chat box. So if you have any questions, I can share with you my experience. So just don't feel shy. Ask me whatever you want. And yes, that's it. I hope I have as a student uh, give you a good perspective of how it is at Middlesex. How it is to be a master's student, international student at Middlesex. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Otavio. Thank you for that feedback. I mean, don't encourage people to apply late, but it's so nice to hear that, I was able to help you in your process and that, this is just one regional office and it's a reflection of the rest of the regional offices. So be encouraged to apply, whether it's early, whether it's late. But, we will take you by the hand and, help you throughout the process. So
I
thank you
don't
so
know
much,
if it
Otavio.
was
All right. So, I have a few questions in the chat, and I'm very glad that so many of you have asked questions. Also, Otavio just placed his email address. For those of you in the recording, it's otavio.delav@outlook.com. And yeah, do feel free to drop him a line if you have any questions or if you'd like to have a chat with him about his experience. But I will get on to answering some of the questions that we've received throughout the chat. If you have any more questions, please keep them coming because we still have some time to answer that. All right, so how soon after paying your deposit do you get your CAS? So normally, universities in the UK are able to send CAS statements no earlier than 3 months from the start of the program. So even if you pay your deposit in January, realistically, you'll be receiving a CAS after late June, because that would be on the 3-month mark. Now, this has recently changed. UKVI has recently changed, very recently, changed this length of time, but it is up to each university to say, well, fine, we're going to give it 5 months in advance or 3 months in advance. Currently, Middlesex University is reviewing that. So what can I tell you? I can probably say adjust your expectations to receive it from late June onwards. But you might be surprised, you might receive it sooner. This might change next year, for example. But currently, as of right now, we are set to send out CAS statements for visa applications no earlier than 3 months from the start of your program. So normally end of June, early July, that's when you'll start seeing CAS statements coming in your email. So do check your email. I also want to take this opportunity to say, if you have not yet, please make @mdx.ac.uk a safe sender on your email. I see many students who just don't receive communications, don't receive CASs, don't receive their offer letters simply because they're in their junk mail or in their spam mail. So please go through your spam, go through your junk mail, and if you need to make us a safe sender, please do, because you do not want to miss out on all the important information that we have for you. All right, so that was the first question. Next question, do you have family accommodation? We do not have family accommodation, and I will also say we unfortunately cannot host your emotional support animal or any pets on our halls of residence. Now, our accommodation team can help you find family accommodation. They can also help you find an accommodation with pets or that allows pets. So please reach out to them. It's accom@mdx.ac.uk, ACCOMM@mdx.ac.uk. Currently, our halls of residence do not have allow for family accommodation, but we can definitely help you find one that does, or private rented accommodation options that would allow you to host a few people, a few family members. Next question, can tuition fee be paid in installments? Yes. So normally international students, for example, they pay their deposit normally, as soon as you receive an unconditional offer and you accept it, you pay the £1,000 deposit or whatever deposit fee that may be for you. It will be stated on your offer letter. So once you pay that deposit, then the first 50% of your remaining tuition fee should be paid by enrollment. So normally up until the end of September is when we give students time to pay their remaining 50% of their tuition fee, of their first year's tuition fee. And then the second half of the tuition fee, minus any regional awards or scholarships, is to be paid in January. This is, of course, for students who are starting in September. If you're starting in January, then adjust that for, the deadline would basically be the first month of the start of each semester or of each term, each academic term, okay? So once again, if you're an international student, deposit, as soon as you get an unconditional offer, then 50% of your tuition fees at the beginning of the first term, and the rest of your tuition fees minus any scholarships by the start of your second term, okay? Hope that was clear. If you have any other questions, please keep them coming. I have another question here, actually 2 questions from students from India and Nigeria. Apart from the Achieving and Commonwealth, what other scholarships for students are there available? We basically, out of my knowledge, only Achieving Commonwealth, the Middlesex scholarships, and you can try and find if your country has any in-country scholarships. We know that some students, for example, if you're a student from the USA, you might be able to get Fulbright scholarship to study in the UK. Now, these are highly competitive, but again, you will have to check maybe in the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of Youth, if you have one at your home country, and see what are available. But that's as far as I would know. I would suggest that you reach out to your regional office. And for example, in Nigeria, it's nigeria@mdx.ac.uk. That's their email address. You want to reach out to them and you want to ask these questions just in case. I'm assuming that they would know more about your particular country and your region than I would, because as I explained before, my remit is the Americas. So I know very little about Nigeria and India specifically. So yeah, I hope that you do find those scholarships, and please reach out to the regional teams. We're there to do that. We're there to help you come to Middlesex, to walk you by the hand, to help you throughout the process. So next question, if you don't require a visa and have not been asked to pay the deposit, is my place secure? Well, I'm assuming then that you're either a UK student or an EU student based in the UK with a pre-settled status. If that is the case and you have not been asked to pay the deposit, make sure that your status is UF. If your status is UF, unconditional affirm, then yes, your place is secure, and that's basically all you need up until September. But do keep in touch. Again, check your emails, go on the Facebook group, check that, because you want to be advised of everything, every news as and when they come. Next question, do you have family accommodation? I think I responded to that before. The answer is no. Next question, how can I receive the invitation to credibility interviews? Reach out. So first of all, not every student, so not every region will have to go through a credibility interview before getting a CAS statement and before applying to their visa. Only some citizens of some countries. If that is your case, then please reach out to your regional office and ask them, hi, I'm just waiting for my credibility interview. But before you ask, do check your email, because you should have received a credibility interview invite. So please reach out to your, first of all, check your spam or junk mail, and then reach out to your regional office, and they'll be able to either send you the link or resend you the invitation somehow. Next question, can international students receive a student loan? International students cannot receive a student loan from the UK. EU and EEA students can no longer receive student loans from the UK. But if your country has a student loan scheme or a student loan process, then yes, you can. So to give you some examples, in the US, students can receive federal loans to study in the UK. Not in every institution, but Middlesex is one of those approved institutions that can administer USDE and private US loans. Canada is another country where students can get provincial loans, and we can accept and administer those at Middlesex University. So do check in your particular country if you can receive a student loan. If you're a student in the UK and you meet the criteria for applying for student loans in the UK, then by all means, go ahead. Next question, as an international student, how many hours a week can we work? While you're a student and while you're studying, you're only able to work up to or charge up to 20 hours per week while you're studying. So up to 20 hours per week, and then full time during holidays, vacations, or after you have, handed in your dissertation and you have some visa allowance, then you can work full time. But while you're studying, or while you're still actively studying, you can only work for up to 20 hours per week. Now, a great thing for international students, in case you didn't know, is that we now have the graduate route visa. So after you finish your program, you can apply for a graduate visa, which allows students to remain in the UK for up to 2 years on a post-study work visa. So basically it's designed for you to go on job interviews, find jobs, spend some time working in the UK. And it's a great opportunity because now you not only have academic experience, but you can also get professional experience in the UK. And that is great. And that's really something that we're very excited about this year. So yes, to those of you wondering, yes, this is being recorded and you will have access to it in a few days in case you can't listen to it right now. Are there more flexible installment plans or any possibility of adjustments apart from the ones you mentioned? It's normally on an ad hoc basis, especially if you're an international student. I know of some students who have been able to, like if they do an auto pay on their credit card, they can be debited that amount specifically. And I've seen some international students who are able to get, instead of 2 installments, they're able to pay in 3 installments. But this is not normally something that happens automatically. It's something that you have to reach out to the finance team for and request and basically build a case for. So is it impossible? No. Is it a common practice? Not really. So what I would advise you to do is as soon as you become a student or you have an unconditional offer and such, reach out to the finance team via UniHub. So you want to go to unihub/mdx.ac.uk and you want to chat or send an email to them, and that's the way that you can get that started. So one of these students from India has not received a scholarship from the university, and you want to know if you're eligible for any kind of scholarships. Reach out to the regional team. You will 100% of the answers that you don't ask will be no. So reach out to your particular regional team in India and ask, hey, are there any scholarships that I can apply for? Are there any discounts, any merits-based scholarships or regional awards? And, just go ahead and ask. That's what I would say. I don't know if you're eligible for any kind of scholarships. I don't have your record right in front of me, but assuming that you have good grades, assuming that you, have any research experience maybe, or any professional experience that you can demonstrate excellence, then I'm sure that, your regional team would be more than happy to offer a discount or a scholarship, even if it's a small scholarship. I will say this, scholarships at Middlesex University are not huge, but they can definitely help. As Ottavio said, they definitely help with your with funding your studies. Let me see. We have so many questions coming in. So, is it possible for the student to get an accommodation that will be within their budget? And are there any scholarships available for international students? Now, scholarships are normally handled by the regional offices. You want to reach out to your regional office to request these scholarships. Each one of us have different budgets. So you want to reach out to your regional office and ask for scholarship if there are any available for you. Now, I don't know if this question was on this particular area, but I'm just going to answer it. We don't have scholarships for accommodation particularly. So all scholarships will be towards the tuition fee, or most scholarships will be towards the tuition fees. Wow, so many questions. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm really being overwhelmed by the number of questions here. Can you work as an intern during the study period? Yes, you can, but reach out to your faculty. That would be the best place to reach out to. One of you are asking if you have to wait for the unconditional offer and then apply for the scholarship. Not really. So you need to wait for an offer, any type of offer. If you have a conditional offer, you can apply for a scholarship. You don't need an unconditional offer specifically. Now, if you've just applied, you have not received any offer, and you're assuming that you're going to get an unconditional offer at first, then yes, that's what you need to wait for. So basically, any offer, as long as you have any, either a conditional or an unconditional offer, you can apply for a scholarship. This is a great question. Does my spouse who is accompanying me have the right to work? Yes, they have the right to work in the UK. That's a really good question. The best source of information, because these things with visas, honestly, they vary all the time. This is a full-time job to keep up with UKVI. Because because visas change all the time, my best advice would be go on gov.uk, gov.uk. That's the best source of information. It's the most updated. It's very simple. So please go there, and that's where you're going to get the best source of information. Are there tuition discounts options? Those would be regional awards, and yes, there are available. So how much scholarship is given to international students will depend on your region. Normally, the things that I'm aware of is up to £5,000. So normally it's 1,000 up to £5,000, and you need to demonstrate academic excellence for the most part. That's what mostly happens. When will they email the scholarships results? That is a great question. Normally, we don't take that long. It normally takes about 3 weeks. But this, again, will depend on your regional office and the type of workload that they have. I mentioned this before, but I'm going to repeat it again. Are international students able to request a loan from the UK? No, you are not. Not federal loans. After receiving an unconditional offer letter, do we have to go through an interview? It depends. If you are from a country that requires a credibility interview, then yes, you will have to apply. Yes, you will have to go through an interview. If not, then no. You can just get an unconditional offer, wait for your CAS, get your unconditional offer, apply, pay your deposit, and then get your CAS. I think I've gone through most of the questions. That's great. Thank you, Otavio, for putting the links there. Good question. Can I apply for scholarships after enrollment? No. Normally, you cannot, at least not regional awards. So be mindful of that. You want to apply as an applicant. How long does it take for the visa to be processed and approved? That depends on normally it takes 3 to 4 weeks, normally. But again, that depends on your country and the type of workload that that the UK embassy, or not embassies, normally it's via FAS, the type of workload that they have. So again, normally it just takes about 3 weeks, but it will definitely depend on your country. I know that now with COVID, a lot of visas were delayed last year, for example. So now this year, I'm assuming things will be different, but that you want to allow room for your visa to be processed. And it is my advice that you allow at least 4 weeks of room. So that's why you want to pay as soon as possible, to get a CAS as soon as possible, to then apply to your visa and arrive right on time. This is a great question. Is it compulsory to come back to the own country after finishing a student or achieving scholarship? It is compulsory to leave the UK. So you don't have to go back to, I don't know, Bangladesh, for example. I don't think so, but you do have to leave the UK. You cannot stay in the UK. So that is a really good question. Once again, go to chevening.org for more information. Good question. Can we apply anytime for the scholarships, or are there deadlines? Normally, there aren't any deadlines, but it's a first come, first serve. So you want to apply as soon as possible, because these funds that we have are currently, as we speak, they're being drained by students who yesterday and the day before have already applied to scholarships. So that's why you want to start everything as soon as possible. It may be that in August, for example, we don't have any more scholarships left. Otavio was lucky enough to get an award in August, but that is not normally what happens. If that's the case, it's because maybe a student who had a scholarship declined or didn't enroll, and then we have that availability. So once again, do that as soon as possible. All right, so we almost have to leave, but I really think you guys have so many good questions. Thank you so much. Do remember to join our Facebook group, and not understanding the questions. I am a British citizen, but are counted as an international student. I don't seem to be eligible for any international scholarships, or are there other scholarships which I can apply? Reach out to your regional office. If you're a British citizen but are being considered an international student, it might be because you have not been living in the UK for the past 3 years. If that is the case, then you may be eligible for a regional award. So wherever you are in the world, reach out to that regional office and see what type of scholarships you are able to apply for, because I know that we've given out some scholarships to students in those scenarios. The visa application fee, I don't have off the top of my head. I know that I should. It's something like 348 pounds, maybe. It's something like that. So that's why it's not right on the top of my head. But again, the best source of information is gov.uk. All right, so guys, your questions have been so good and overwhelming, and I'm so glad that all of you have remained with us. But unfortunately, we've almost given 30 minutes of a Q&A. I'm really very humbled and grateful for your time and for your awesome questions. What we'll do is we will download a document with all of these questions and get back to those who we haven't responded. But once again, I may not be the best source of information. The best source of information may be your regional office directly. So you might want to reach out to them with some, points, a bullet point of just a few questions that they can answer quickly. Thank you so much for your time. Please take a minute to answer our poll. And if we missed anything, please do contact us through the Facebook group, or for the offer holders that we do have a Facebook group that is another great source of information and networking right before you start studies at Middlesex. The link has been added to the chat box. So you might want to scroll up and down. And we hope to welcome you at Middlesex soon. I'm really happy and excited to see all 40 plus of you to come to the UK. I hope to welcome you in September. We're very, very excited. We're getting ready to start blended learning with you all. So yes, once again, thank you so, so much. Please remember to answer the survey. Please remember to visit the website. Please remember to join the Facebook group. And I just have to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. We hope you have had a great hour here with